And we're live.
I don't know. I recently watched, what is it? The Taking of, no, that's that other movie that I want you to watch. It's
The Taking of Deborah.
So The Taking of Deborah Logan is that movie
Exorcism
that I
of Jane Doe, the one I recommended to you. Did you watch that?
I didn't watch that one. I'm gonna write that one down. But I watched The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which I had never seen before.
It's a good movie.
It was more courtroom drama and less exorcism than I would have hoped.
Yeah, I've only seen that once, and it was like right when it came out. It was the least scary movie I've ever watched.
There was one scary part, and it was because everything had been so like grounded and not scary, and then all of a sudden they did that CGI face thing where the face goes ah, and the eyes like melt down the face, and I wasn't prepared for that, and I was just like fuck, fuck, I didn't know that was coming. And then there's this one part where like the boyfriend is asleep in bed. He's sleeping with Emily because she's been disturbed, and he's looking out for her. And he wakes up and she's on the floor all contorted, like fingers all like messed up and like bent into a weird position, and she's just staring at him like
yeah, like that catatonic possessed
thing. Yeah, that scared me too. I didn't care for that. But those are the only two scary parts of the entire movie, and I was looking to get scared.
Yeah, you got to watch it's not Exorcism, it's The Autopsy of Jane Doe on Netflix.
Autopsy of Jane Doe. I'm writing it down now.
It's a good one. I enjoyed it. Have you guys watched? It's on Netflix. It's this like I don't even know if you probably wouldn't say horror, maybe thriller, called The Platform.
Woody's seen it. He liked it.
The one. So basically, they're in this underground channel of a prison, vertical channel. This big column basically, and there's a big square hole in every single level, like two prisoners stacked on top of each other. And it's basically, I won't spoil it, but food comes down from the top, like a beautiful, like what you'd see at a king's mansion, you know, like a feast where it's like chicken legs and turkey and pies and everything you could want. And it goes down to level 1, and the two people on there munch. And then after a couple minutes, it goes down to level 2. And so by the time you get to like the final bottom level, people are eating each other, all the food's gone and stuff. And then every like 2 weeks, they'll randomly assign you a different one. And so like one time it'll be like, oh my God, like we have to eat and try and survive. And then they'll be at level 200 where there's like skeletons of other people who didn't survive in there. And it's basically them trying to figure out how to escape and how to manipulate it and how to be
Sounds like The Cube. Is it in Spanish?
No.
Is it good?
It was one of those movies where the movie itself wasn't as good, but the concept behind it was so novel and entertaining. I was like, I'm on board for it. The same way that Hypercube and the Cube series is fucking awful. It's awful. Terrible, but I love those movies because it's unique. The way that they die is so entertaining. There's a new thing in every little cube. It doesn't make sense, and it doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't bother me.
I watched the first Cube movie, and I was like, you never really know who's operating the cube. Yeah. For those who don't know, these 4 or 5 people just wake up inside of a cube, you know, inside this room. And and it's like you're inside of a gigantic 3-dimensional puzzle box. Like you're inside of a giant Rubik's Cube, and you got to work your way out from the inside. And since you're in a cube, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides to every room. Each of those has a little hatch in it. One hatch might instantly get killed if you go through it, like some gruesome way, acid or like wires that wrap you up, like piano wire or something like that.
I think that's how it starts, isn't it? Some guy in there, and then just Hellraiser style, all these wires start shooting out and spinning, and he just has that, and then he just becomes mincemeat.
Becomes mincemeat. And but you don't know who's operating this cube or why or what the connection between all of the survivors is. And so I was like, well, I got to know more. Cube 2, let's go. I watched them all. There's like 3, maybe 4.
There's more.
You never figure out anything.
They don't tell you who operates the cube.
It's disappointing.
You get very little information.
You get is like one cube survivor in one movie they've blended together makes it like out of the cube bath where it's like, oh, they were kind of underwater the whole time, or there's water under them for some reason and she fell in, and then she's like getting out of this fake beach basically, and there's a bunch of armed people with like hazmat suits and guns, and like that's about all the clues you get, is that it's probably some government thing.
They had no idea.
Escape.
What's that?
She escapes and then she finds herself in the hands of more bad people.
Yeah. Or the bad. She finds herself in the hands of the bad people who are running it, but there's no information divulged about like, oh, we're doing this to test soldiers for tough. Like, no, there's no.
Yeah. That's just the end of the. That's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
That's
kill
the
her.
best end of all the movies.
She's like getting up there after surviving, and they just blow her head off. If I remember correctly.
they have really shitty ends. I watched all 4 of them in like a day and a half. I hate the Cube movies now.
Oh, I love shitty horror movies, man. It's my.
I like
it's not
shitty
even
horror, but
pleasure.
like, I mean, I thought there was going to be like this big payoff at the end where we found out that
Right.
what was going on, and you never did.
no
you're looking
dice.
you're looking for the saw. You're looking for the saw.
Sure.
payoff. That's what that is.
Yeah.
But I want him to end at the end. I don't want him to just dun 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 dun. He didn't like bring him back over and over. I'm a little upset with this. I don't watch the Saw movies anymore. They're on like Saw
I was
12 or
watching-
something.
No. The
They're-
first
they're
one.
like-
The first one's great. But the rest of them are nah. Whatever.
The first one, it's such a good movie. Like really sucks you in. They don't even rely. I think the Saw franchise now has such an reputation. It's like, oh, it's just blood and gore, and it's like, yeah, but go back and watch the first one. Really, not as much blood and gore as you would think.
Very little.
If you watch the last few, and it's like a nice little mystery, good thriller, great movie. Now, I think that the guy who plays Jigsaw dies in like the third one.
I think you're
Yeah.
right.
And
third or fourth.
they're on Saw like 8 or so.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen all of them, but I remember jumping to like Saw 6 or 7 years ago. And it like starts with a montage of like, even though I died fucking 15 years ago, I want to play another game. And it was like, how much time did you have to plan this? Like you have so many games to play. And then that one bitch who survived and now she runs the game, but she sucks at it. Yeah, that went.
They just upload. They just like upload. It feels like a YouTube video. Those movies. They just make a new one every Halloween, and it makes another $20 million, and rinse and repeat.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a business. That's all they're doing. They're milking you.